Hey everyone, welcome back to the Round Report. Guys, first episode of the new year, and to start off on the rundown front before we transition over to the interview with Sam Todd, obviously just saw the Karachi Open to kick the new year off, and we're heading into this massive US tour. And I think I just saw a PSA graphic which said 7 weeks, 8 tournaments all over the States. I personally really like the stretch of January and February because you really get a wide variety of different matchups during this time. You obviously have the big platinum event with the TOC, but you also get these gold and silver events where top players do want to participate to secure somewhat easier and safer ranking points, but also gives players who are at the cusp of top 10 or even outside, who I think are very underrated, to come out and cause some damage. I think it's these stretches where we realize the gap outside maybe the top 3 isn't as big as we think. And we shouldn't weigh too heavily on the rankings because the depth of the tour right now is in real good standing, and also gives us a preview of, okay, who are the ones here that's going to step up in a year or two and take advantage of somewhat of these more level draws. And I thought the Karachi Open was a prime example of that because it featured the likes of Yusuf Ibrahim, the El Shorbagy brothers, Kareem Gawad, but the final ended up being Zachariah versus Ali Abu El-Aynan. Ali being the 6th seed in this tournament and Zachariah being the 5th seed was exactly that. On the tournament itself, I have some mixed bag of thoughts on what I saw throughout the tournament. Couple good things that get me excited for the season was, first of all, Noor Zaman. I'm starting to get convinced he might be a part of the crop of new gen players right now who are storming up the rankings, like Melville, Kareem El-Torki, Jonah, and Zachariah. Secondly, I thought the sound quality on the ball on the court at Karachi in this event was immaculate. If we can copy the blueprint on that for future tournaments, I know it's such a niche thing, but it definitely does enhance the viewing experience. And before I start ripping into it, I do want to say the quality of the final was unbelievable. I was incredibly entertained, and just kudos to those two for putting on a show despite, there's a lot of noise after that final about movement, the controversy behind it, but I do want to acknowledge that it was a great final. Now, couple bad things I wanted to address. To start it off, I wanted to address the Dazuki meltdown. I think we've seen plenty of his meltdowns at this point that I'm pretty numb to it. If anything, I thought this was a very understandable meltdown of his. I mean, come on, like, what are we doing here? Fucking taking a point away from him in the 4th game, just the outright outrageous bias calls against him. I hope people aren't clickbaited into this one and they really watch the full match in context, because I do feel for Dazuki on this one, and I'm sure he'll get slapped a big fine or suspension or whatever, but hopefully PSA comes out with a statement acknowledging the unprofessionalism. I think they already came out saying that they did take a point away from him, but like, what is that supposed to do? Because I think they owe Dazuki that at the very least. And then also wanted to talk about the final. I think it was in the 4th game, between Zachariah and Ali Abu. Nothing looks more unprofessional as a spectator watching the sport, where clearly the slow motion video, when reviewed, shows that Zachariah's pickup was double bounce. And then we have our commentator, PJ, adamantly saying that, yep, it's a double bounce. And then the screen right after says it's a good pickup. And then they play on with Zachariah winning the point. I think this type of scenario, this type of incident, I think we've seen it enough in big matches where we're just left utterly confused on who in the booth is checking these slow motions on double bounces. Because what on earth is the point of having that camera if whoever's in the booth can't detect it? Like, are they seeing another footage that is different from what we're seeing on Squash TV or what PJ's seeing in the commentator's booth? It's really just infuriating to watch on that, and it just needs to be better. But anyway, that's my little rants about this tournament. But on a positive note, guys, there's so much good squash coming our way in the next month or two, and so I'm really looking forward to that. But yeah, let's head over to the interview today with Sam Todd. I feel like he's been quietly forgotten by the squash community, and I don't know if that's helped him fuel the fire on his comeback journey, but he's now really up to 42 in the world, and it was a really good chat to see how fired up he is to prove his critics wrong. And Sam Todd's back on the pod, everyone. Welcome back, Sam. Dude, how have you been? It's been
good.
A minute.
Good, thank you. How have you?
Good. We just started talking about how we did our first one. I think it was the 3rd episode I did, and Dude, I did not want to look at that episode because so much has changed, and I didn't know what I was doing back then. But a couple years have passed, and it's surreal to kick off 2026 with you. First episode of the new year. So
Yeah,
should be a good one. Sam, dude, obviously it's great to see you back competing, happy, healthy,
yeah.
and as day one fans of you, we know the talent and damage you can do on tour, and the squash world can move on pretty quickly. But just wanted to kind of catch up on. Well, I kind of wanted to go through what's actually happened in your world for the past couple of years because I know you've been put through the ringer, and I don't know if a lot of people know the extent of what happened with you and your injury. And a lot of people I was looking at the Reddit threads are just jumping to conclusions that Sam just lost the love of the game. So I kind of wanted to give you an opportunity to actually tell people what the hell happened and the
Yeah.
story behind the full timeline of your injury.
Yeah. So it was around 2022, I remember, or the end of 2022. I just came off winning a 12K in St. George's Hill, um, going into Christmas. And I'd had like a bit of a break from then. I didn't play as many tournaments and sort of lost like my mojo a little bit. So I remember I'd like a few weeks just like kind of focusing on training, not really thinking about events. Um, and then at the end of that year, managed to get a decent win in St. George's Hill. And then going into Christmas, I was like looking forward to 2023. Was training really well over Christmas, feeling really fit, really good. And then I just had like a freak accident on court where I was playing doubles and it was just at my home club, just on a casual Sunday afternoon. And I just kind of jumped and landed on someone's foot and my ankle just kind of went the other way and I kind of fell to the floor. Um, Instantly, like I knew I'd done something because I had like shivers all the way up my leg and
Ooh.
just really struggled to put like weight on it. But it didn't like swell up crazy or anything. So I thought, oh, it's going to be okay. Just ice it. I went to the hospital just to get it checked. There's no bones or anything. They said, yeah, it's all good.
It
And
didn't
then
swell up.
very like minor compared to what
Okay.
I've seen some ankles do. It was, yeah.
There's some gnarly ones out there.
Yeah. So everything was like positive. Saw a physio, said maybe a few weeks and of doing the bit of rehab and you'll be back on court playing your next event. 'Cause I had a few tournaments lined up for 2023, which I was in. And then, long story short, I unfortunately had to pull out of them events. And then I started seeing some physios in Manchester who then put me on to some steroid injections, like cortisone injections, and to try and avoid surgery. Because I'd had like a couple of problems with my tendons. And then the main issue was there was a bit of bone at the back of my ankle that was kind of prodding the nerves when I'd lunge on court. So to try and avoid surgery, I ended up having a cortisone injection or a steroid injection. And in between them, you have to wait like 2 months to see if they have any effect. So continue with the rehab and training, just in the gym though. Maybe a little bit of volleys on court, but it was very steady stuff. I was very limited. And after the 2 months, we came back. I said it's not really no different. So I said, okay, we'll try in a different area. So I had it in a different area, but then, long story short, it didn't work. And then I ended up having 5 of them, which was just over like a period of like a year, nearly.
So that was the entirety of 2023 right there, just
pretty much,
testing
yeah.
out.
Because after each one, you have to wait like 6 weeks to 2 months. And before you can kind of have the next one to see if it has any effect, because it can sometimes take up to that time to have any effects on your ankle. But then the doctors were kind of advising me to try and avoid surgery, which kind of makes sense. But yeah, I ended up having 5, which just feel like I kind of got a little bit messed about with, and it just extended so much time that I was like, off court. So then in the end, there was like, okay, look, we're going to have to book you in for surgery. There's kind of no other option left. And then surgery went well. That was also in Manchester at a private hospital, and they looked after me really good. And then that kind of whole rehab process took around 9 months until I was like fully back playing a proper match on court, which was kind of the time that they said I'd be out for after surgery, which
So
obviously then took,
now we're into what,
yeah,
like mid 2024?
2024, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So it was like around, uh, yeah, just under 2 years around
Jeez.
overall.
What's going through your mind during this time? Are you just cursing out, just being like, what? How could we have done such
Um,
a? Because it seems
to
like
be,
2023 is where I would have lost it.
yeah, to be fair, I was so motivated throughout the whole thing. Um,
Yeah.
Obviously I was very sick of like just not being able to be on court, but because when I did get injured, I was like really looking forward to 2023 as like really having like a good year.
Mm.
Coming off like a result, a win at the end of 2022, I was like wanting to carry that on going into 2023. So even though I was down and couldn't really do much apart from I could go on the cross trainer, the elliptical in the gym and just do hours on that to try and burn some calories and get a decent sweat on. I was still like very motivated and just to keep myself kind of locked in, focused, because all I wanted to do was just kind of get it right and try and get back on court as soon as possible. But it was just once I kind of accepted, okay, I'm going to be out for quite a while. Let's
Mm.
just come to terms with that. Then I could start to focus on certain things that maybe I needed to work on, whether it's kind of in the gym, some strength stuff, because there's always something else that you can do, whether it's not playing squash. Obviously, I couldn't do a lot of the heavy loading with my ankle, but there's a lot of like the machines you could do, leg extensions, hamstring curls, core, loads of different types that you could just try to keep yourself busy. The one thing I did struggle with was like watching squash TV, like watching like the
Yeah.
TOC and the World Open, just because it just really like made me want to be on court and get back playing. So
Yeah.
that's kind of the only thing I maybe struggled with because it just, yeah, it kind of just drive you just to be like, oh, you really want to be on them big stages. And then obviously you're stuck at home. And
Right.
at the time, it was like, it seemed like, is it going to get better? Like, I know a lot of people at the club actually thought like I was going to be done because it seemed like it was going to be one of them injuries that just weren't going to get right.
Mm.
But yeah, the outcome was obviously good and it just kind of took quite a long time to get there. But I think sometimes everything happens for a reason. And like this, after the injury, like I feel like I'm a lot clearer with my mind mentally. And after going through that, it's given me like a big boost to try and just kind of focus on what I need to do now on the tour and get myself back up there. Obviously
Yeah.
got the ranking back up to a decent level, but now it's just trying to keep progressing to the next stages and just keep trying to improve myself. So, but yeah, it was
Oh
a
yeah.
long journey and it was tough, but I suppose it makes you kind of mentally stronger in the long run to go through them
Yeah.
injuries
No,
that, yeah, I suppose that like every athlete has to do it. So, well,
yeah.
most athletes have to go through these heavy.
It's a rite of passage right there, but a little long one for
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
For two.
yeah,
Um, it's interesting. I was actually reading up on that Squash Player magazine and about kind of your injury journey there. And I think on that article, you mentioned like losing motivation. I think that's something
yeah,
that a lot of players don't really talk about. It's an underrated topic about, that constant ambition and hunger. We just kind of think it's a given that you guys would always be ambitious and hungry to get the world number one spot as soon as you hit the pro
yeah.
journey. But I just think it's a pretty relevant question to ask you in terms of that idea of like losing motivation, given, I mean, your resume in terms of your successful junior career. And I'm sure there was an overwhelming amount of pressure going in, transitioning into senior tour. And was that something you struggled with even throughout your junior career? Or do you think this injury kind of helped
Um,
you get on the right track?
I think sometimes, yeah, definitely the injury kind of helped me get on the right track because it really made me decide, like, okay, because you could easily just like, oh, I'm injured. This is going to be really hard to get back to where I was. Let's just kind of sack it off and leave it there. So that definitely made me prove to myself that, yeah, you really do want to be in this game. You do love it. And now you need to battle hard to kind of get back to where you were before and even just get back on court at that stage. That was kind of the main goal. But I think before, yeah, you always go through, I kind of went through a couple of stages, like for a couple of weeks, sometimes progressing into the professional career where you'd lose a little bit of motivation. And I think maybe because I had such a, in the juniors, I was always kind of either making the finals or winning the events. And I had quite a good, successful junior career that when you come into the seniors and obviously you might start to lose like quarters, or you're not making it to the end of these events. Sometimes it's quite easy just to kind of get your head down a little bit and lose a bit of motivation when you're traveling here, and then you might have a bad result, you lose first round, and you got to go to your next event and your head can kind of be down. So I think it's just kind of part of the game that you're going to have moments like that where you feel a bit out of touch with the game. But I think for me, I realized that it's not actually I'm losing motivation. It's just you can't keep winning every time. It's just this is part of the game. Like you need to also lose to then learn from it and then do better next time and come back stronger. And I think it just probably took me a little bit longer than normal to realize that. And I think being injured definitely helped that, because I really had to like work hard to get back to being on court and then get back climbing up the rankings. So it definitely, the drive was definitely there. And I was very determined to kind of get back and also prove not just like people, but myself that I could like do that. And that, so I think a lot of people started to kind of think that I was done and kind of like quit. But yeah, you don't really take notice of them because they don't really know you, and you can only control what you're doing. And as long as you have a good team around you and people that keep you on the right track, and just focus on yourself and don't really worry about other things. That's kind of how I had to deal with it, because I was out for quite a while. So there's a lot of talk saying, "Oh, he's stopped playing," blah blah blah. But yeah, there's a lot of insights people don't really know about. But it doesn't really matter. I just kind of focus on myself, and I know what needs to be done.
Were you reading what was being said about you online?
Yeah, you see it because it's just there. But I mean, it's better. If anything, it kind of fuels you a bit more because you want to kind of prove them wrong. But you're always going to see comments like that, or even people might even ask you in person. I had a couple of people saying, "Oh, I've heard you're finished. Like, heard you've stopped." Bit like kind of not being rude about it, just actually saying, "Oh, I've heard you've stopped." And I was like, "No, just had a bit of a nightmare injury and so." But yeah, you can't really worry about that. They don't really know what's going on in your life. So I just focused on myself and focused on what I needed to do to get back to being fit.
Yeah. Quick ad break, everyone, to shout out today's sponsors, Sunrise Courts and Penfold Golf. Sunrise Courts has a hands-on approach to ensure every detail of your squash court is perfect. From the smoothness of the walls to the bounce of the ball, Sunrise Courts makes sure every element is just right. Whether you're looking to build new courts or update your current ones, Sunrise is the company for you. Sunrise Courts services all squash court needs, including preventative maintenance, repairs, resurfacing, resanding, gut renovations, new flooring installations, glass realignments, cleaning, ball retrieval installations, wall lamination, new tins, new trim, and full court conversions. With over 30 years of experience, Sunrise Court's knowledgeable staff have built courts at prestigious schools, storied squash clubs, and private residences across the United States. To get started with your squash court build or renovation, go to www.sunrise-courts.com or email info@sunrisecreations.net. Sunrise Courts, growing squash one court at a time. An iconic brand since 1927, Penfold Golf has been part of the game for nearly a century. Known for innovation and high-quality craftsmanship, Penfold continues its legacy in the modern era with products that honor tradition while meeting the demands of today's golfer. Blending heritage and performance, Penfold delivers premium bags and accessories built to last functional, refined, and unmistakably classic. Choose the brand that has stood the test of time. Penfold Golf since 1927. For more information, go to www.penfoldgolfusa.com. Well, hell yeah. I mean, like kind of transitioning away from that. Let's kind of talk about what's been happening. I mean, you've been taking full advantage of this, what I'd call the North American Tour, in the second half of 2025 with the big challenger events, and had some very good results. I think you've like essentially made at least all the semis or the finals, and now you're up to, despite what the critics may say, you're up to 42 in the world right now. I wanted to ask you before, where in the level in the rankings do you think you are right now? Do you think you're at the level? I guess it's a long-winded way of saying, like, do you think the comeback journey is, you're still on the comeback journey, or you think, okay, this is like the next phase now that you've reached up to like top 42?
I think this is probably like the next phase, because I think now I've started to sneak into like a couple of the golds, some of the bigger events, and obviously now the next phase after that is trying to get into a couple of the platinums, which is around like 32 in the world area. And I know I'm definitely capable of beating people much higher than that when I'm playing well and kind of thinking about what I'm doing on court. But now it's just about trying to. Obviously, I've done well to kind of get here. I still think I could have done a little bit better in some of my results. I've made quite a few finals, and some of them couldn't close them out, which I was a bit frustrated with. But overall, it's kind of been consistent that I've been getting to the kind of the end of the big events, and now it's just kind of the next phase, taking it to the kind of the next level with these bigger boys, like in the top 20, top 15, and even the top 10. So because I think a couple of the events I've got like some of the top 10 players. If I win my first round, you're playing like someone like Diego, Paul Cole, Joel Makin. So it's going to be good for me to get that experience in an actual tournament to play someone that high level.
What do you think right now your take would be is like the difference between where you're at and the top 20 guys or like the top 10 guys right now? Do you think it's just more like consistency? Where do you think the difference lies?
I think a bit of everything. I think obviously they're able to play at a fast pace for a longer period of time. And I think also their accuracy is like kind of just a little bit, they're able to do it even when they're tired. It's like still keep it accurate playing style. Like someone like Paul Cole, I remember I watched him here at the US Open, and kind of like throughout the whole week, it was just kind of very like straight, tight, like he was gluing it to the wall. Very simple squash, but it was just so accurate, and he kind of dispatched kind of everyone in that event, and he just seems to be playing really well. And so you don't always have to be playing very fancy, skilled squash. He played very, very simple stuff, but just was so accurate and tight, and it works very well. So I think them top players, the margins just go a lot finer, and they're able to do it for a longer period of time at a faster pace. And against obviously someone else that's also very skillful, like obviously Mostafa Asal on the backhand side, his line work is very skillful and tight. And so I think it's just putting that together, and to do that, you've obviously got to get fitter, stronger, maybe quicker, and kind of maybe smarter with your squash IQ, and just a bit more clever, which a lot of these top boys are. Like you see someone like Mohamed El Shabagi, who's obviously had to get his squash a lot more smarter, and the way he plays now is he thinks about every shot with like an open mind, and he's very calculated in what he's doing, because he knows he can't obviously sustain them longer matches like he used to when he was a bit younger. So it's like really good to watch someone like him, because he's starting to use so many different variations and angles on the court. So it's good to watch him, learn from him, and try and take bits of everything, like everyone that you're kind of watching, and kind of take it into your own game, because everyone's obviously got good attributes. So I think the tour's quite strong at the moment. There's a lot of especially in like the top 10, there's a lot of good players around there. And obviously we've got like good, it's like Jonah, the good Englishman, he's coming up. He's now 13 in the world, and he's obviously beating some of the guys in the top 10. And it's really good.
Yeah. Have you had a quick side question? Have you had a chance to like talk to Mohamed El Shorbagy? I know it's common news now that he's English, his nationality changed right there. But have you had has he been able to provide any mentorship there or kind of talk to you?
Not really, to be fair. We played a few squads in maybe around a year ago or so.
Mm-hmm.
Like some England squads in Manchester. But we kind of stopped doing them because it was quite kind of hard to get everyone to come up, because everyone's playing different tournaments at different times. But yeah, he chatted to like the whole team of us when he first kind of started them squads, and spoke about just kind of more the mental side of things. And he's very good to listen to, and obviously he's done so much in the game. So whenever he's on court, I always try and take the chance to try and watch him, because he's done so much in the game, but he's just how he's kind of got very more kind of skillful and clever with how he plays on court now. He knows he can't be doing these big heavy movements and stuff and having these brutal matches. So he's just very clever with the way he plays.
Mileage on those legs.
I mean, he's done so much. It's unbelievable.
You were kind of talking about this, and I had this question lined up about your stance on the men's tour. I was curious, any perspective changes on how you think the game has changed since post-injury, or am I just throwing an overcomplicated question? The game is the game, or do you feel like it's gone faster in any sense? Or again, you can shut me down right away here.
Maybe a little bit faster, yeah. I mean, I've had some tough matches with a few people, but that have been quite long matches and quite fast paced. But I try and stay kind of away from. Well, I try to stay away from that. When I'm playing kind of my best squash, it's kind of when I'm controlling kind of the tee and controlling like the pace of the game, mixing the heights, and not just kind of running around like a headless chicken and just smacking 100 miles an hour. Because that was one thing I did struggle with coming back. Even though I did quite a bit of solo when I was injured, I think I got so excited, like just being able to kind of move again, and I'd end up not really thinking about my squash, and I'd kind of end up running around and hacking it, like just smacking it around with the other player. And I think what I've spoke about with a few coaches is what I did well when I was a junior. I was able to kind of use different heights and control the kind of pace of the game using a bit of deception. So I think I've tried to add that in, because obviously there's a lot of players now that are very fit, quick, and I think I'd say the pace has definitely gone up since in the last 5 years or so. Whether it's just volleying or actually hitting it harder on the front wall. I mean, you see some of the top boys like Mostafa is just so explosive into the front. So the power and like the hitting of him, but then he's able to also still keep it very accurate and tight, which I think is really impressive. Because I know sometimes when I try to go quite quick and explosive, you sometimes can lose the accuracy a little bit.
Right.
So it's good to watch, obviously, people like that where they can still do both and keep it very, very tight and skillful.
Yeah. I mean, I'd be remiss not to talk about Mostafa Asal, the best player in the world right now, especially in regards to his relationship with James Willstrop, who I know you're part of that Pontefract club. Have you been able to hit with him at all? And like any
I hit with him. It's not as much as you think, actually. I've hit with him a few times. But this was again around close to like half a year ago, maybe. James is more kind of, he travels with him to the events and would coach him there. And I think maybe they do a few Zoom calls, or if Mostafa Asal came to Pontefract, it's James and Mostafa were kind of just literally sat like this on a table looking at an iPad and just kind of looking at his movement and watching his matches back and focusing on what he needs, what not he needs to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I've had a few hits, but yeah, it's not as actually much as you think because he's actually not really been there. James kind of more goes to see him and
that's so
travels to
interesting.
the events, and coaches them. Yeah, so James is also very busy and he's away quite a bit. And as well, obviously, Mostafa's getting to like more or less like the end of each event, whether he's winning it or he's making around like semi-finals to the finals. So yeah.
I mean, not to put you in the hot seat here, as someone who shares coaches, I mean, I'm curious, what is your stance on the movement debacle that's really taken over the squash world in the past while you're out, especially? I mean, I don't know if I know you said you weren't really watching a lot of film, but it literally just dominates every topic nowadays. I'm sure you have a little more insight into what they're discussing, or like I'm sure you have your own opinion.
Yeah.
Feel free to share or not share what you actually think about it. But yeah, I'm curious what you can say on this.
Yeah, I think he did get obviously a lot better once he started to see James. He did start to tidy up. And then I think kind of as he maybe saw the world number one spot he had that in mind because he wasn't too far off. I think he maybe lost a few of his ways that he'd learned with James and got better at. And a few of them old habits or tricks started to definitely sneak back in. But I just think, he's just kind of very clever with kind of what he did. But like, I just don't think obviously he needs to do it because he plays such accurate, skillful squash, and we've seen like he can play a kind of a clean match and have no problems, which he's done in the past, and maybe win 3-love, win 3-1, and play just very good squash and have no issues, traffic issues. Obviously, there's always going to be some traffic issues when he's quite a big guy and if he's playing another big guy around like the tee area. But it's just, I think the main thing for him is it's around when it's like 2-all, maybe 6-all, 7-all in the fifth. It's kind of like trying not to bring it out then, because I think anyone when they're 2-love up, 8-3 up, are going to be playing clean, good squash. I think it's when it gets close and tight against maybe in the later stages of these tournaments, it's about not trying to bring them old habits back in then. So yeah, I know him and James, I think they do talk quite a lot. Yeah, I still think there's still a lot of stuff that he needs to work on, in my opinion. I do think it's got better for sure, and but I actually think his squash has actually got a little bit better because he always on the forehand side he always used to kind of hit everything. He was always like backhand side he was still very accurate in the forehand, but I think on the backhand side he was controlling a lot of the pace. He played a little bit slower. The forehand, especially when he was younger, he used to be quite heavy hitting and always seemed to hit. Where I know James definitely started to add a forehand drop in for him, which actually works really well because he's so explosive into the front, comes in with a big swing, and then obviously he's got that soft touch now just to play a quick counter drop in, which obviously then brings that whole quarter, that front right into play, which obviously is very tough.
Yeah, I mean, we could talk about the movement debacle all day, but like, let's not lose the plot here. His squash is like, I
mean, what do you
imagine
think?
what it is. You're putting me on the hots.
I would ask your opinion. Yeah.
I'm going to edit everything out now that you put me on the hot seat. I'm not trying to be no. I mean, I don't know. He's so good that in my opinion that I think he can completely control the narrative. I think at some time people put him in the hot seat, and the next event he cleans it up, and then he loses in the final, and then he loses very graciously, and everyone's like, let's not forget he's such a gracious loser. And then if it's like World Championships final, 8-all in the fifth, that's when he's so levels above everyone else that I think it only actually matters in such specific scenarios in such specific times of the year, and that's when it actually shows where the changes have happened. So like we don't really get to see his improvements in these so-called movements just because he's just so unfucking believably good, is my opinion.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, obviously, I spoke to him a little bit in like off court, and he's actually a very lovely lad.
Surprisingly, from what everyone says.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, he's very smiley. Like plays like with all like the little kids at the club, and um, so yeah, there's just like I don't know. I think maybe two sides to it because he's definitely a good kid. He just I think maybe has had a few bad junior matches or like the PSA challenges where he's obviously played quite unclean and he's just had to tidy that up because you can't keep playing like that, especially when you're at his level, got all eyes watching you. So I think he's definitely got better, but like you said, it kind of really matters when he's not doing it. Maybe 8 all in the fifth. I think anyone can win 3-love and be a clean match when there's kind of no issues.
I mean, it's actually kind of topical to talk about this. I mean, you've been put through the ringer, especially with junior squash. There's so much talk in the junior world about these kids being absolute demons on court with the sportsmanship and how they're taught and how, you know, people are scrutinizing coaches and parents and all that. And right now there's the British Junior Open happening right now. I mean, I think we're in like close to the semifinals, finals now, but do you think there is a problem with what's been going on?
I think I'm not sure if it's got a little bit worse, maybe, in the junior side since when I was there. Obviously, there was always, I think, junior is always like so much more intense because there's like the parents are like always like literally by the glass screaming all these things at the kids, and it's like literally win at like all costs sometimes for some players. And I think it just gets so intense with like teams and parents and parents together, where there's actually been the parents have started nearly fighting each other, and
Jesus,
like it just brings like that tension off court onto the court for the kids, and you're gonna obviously get them ugly matches. And I think as well, like the refereeing system has got a lot stricter recently, so there's been a lot more like conduct games, conduct points, like they give conduct points away so easy now, and even that can just cause like a lot of tension because then the players are kind of worried on what to do and what not to do. But when I was kind of in the juniors, I don't remember it being as bad, but then I think also the referees probably weren't as strict as they are now, because now I'm sure there's like there's been a couple of conduct games in the British juniors, and just things like that. It's just going to cause so much more tension for the players and obviously then the coaches and parents. Sometimes the parents, I think, want it more than the actual kids playing it, and it's just so much like pressure and they're just like forcing this kid to win, and if he doesn't win, he or she is going to be, well, I don't know, going to be getting told off, and I think it's just like that mindset. I think in England, like maybe it's a little bit more relaxed on that, and I think in other countries it's a bit more strict. But then maybe I don't know. If you look at Egypt and this British juniors, I think they've kind of like they do most years, but especially this year, I think they've dominated pretty much every age group. I'm sure it was something like 29.
Jeez.
29 quarterfinalists or something like that, or 29 semi-finalists. It was something ridiculous. But they obviously have that mentality to win kind of at all costs, and maybe, I don't know, maybe that works for them because obviously they seem to be doing very well.
I mean, it has been working. But I guess, I mean, the big question is like at what cost and all. I had a question. Obviously, you were kind of talking about James Willstrop having to travel. I mean, I'm assuming, just the busiest man in the world right now. Is he your main coach still, or is it a bit more complicated then?
I'd say probably it's a little bit more complicated. He's away so much, and when I'm in Pontefract, he will run some sessions and stuff when I'm in Pontefract, but obviously he's away a lot with whether it's with Mustafa or it's maybe doing some camp somewhere, or he also does acting, which
Right.
is he just loves. And I've seen him in a few plays. He's really good. It was a little bit weird seeing him up on stage and not in a squash court, but he was actually really good. And yeah, I think he's like a big hobby of his, and which is fair enough. But one other person I see quite a bit is David Campion, who used to be our England national coach. He's based around Halifax, so I've been to see him, and then obviously I come now to America quite a little bit because my girlfriend lives here, and obviously there's quite a few players at the Allen Specter Centre and around Philadelphia area to train with. So it's just kind of good to be based here sometimes in between, like these events in America or Canada if I'm playing them. Which is why obviously I played quite a lot of tournaments in
Right.
Canada and America the last end of season.
Was that a point of frustration where, I mean, I'm assuming your relationship with James Willstrop has been ongoing for such a long time, and given, I mean, it's no one's fault. We're not trying to point fingers here, but I mean, just for you personally, was it just a bit frustrating in terms of like he probably knew your game inside and out, and you like, or was that just a natural progression of you were looking for something else as well?
I think is what kind of came to my mind is that he also is obviously he's very busy. He's got two kids to look after, and he's away so much. Him and Vanessa, his girlfriend, are very busy, working away a lot. So I think it was always going to be tough for him to kind of knuckle down and be there like every day for me when I'm home or whenever. So I kind of accepted that, and obviously he also wants to do acting, so which is obviously very good at. I've seen him, and so I'm not going to say, "Oh, can you stop doing this so you could maybe be around a little bit more?" Because obviously I'm away as well, so it's not like I'm there all the time and I'm kind of traveling around. But it's I think he had such a good professional career, so it's always nice to get them insights and feedback of what it would like. And when I do get on court with him, obviously I'm kind of cherish every moment because he's done so much in the game, and he's played something like the best players in the world, or to ever do it. So him not being there all the time, it can be a little bit annoying, but then at the same time, like he's obviously also going to do his own life and look after himself, whether it's acting or looking after his family and stuff, because he's also got such a busy life. So I think that kind of comes to terms with like a bit of, you just respect what he's done and what he's doing, because when he's there, he's obviously giving us his time. And it was a bit difficult at one stage, but we kind of come to terms with it, and now I think there's a relatively good system in place, because just knowing that he's not always going to be there when I'm there, and vice versa. So
that's wonderfully put. I mean,
I think he knows that I'm open, obviously, to travel and train with different people as well. Because I think he also needs to do that and venture out a little bit to hit with different players.
Yeah. I mean, again, very well put. I mean, look at you, all PR trained and all, given all the right answers here.
Well, not always. I'll say that.
It's completely different from Sam a couple years back when we were doing that first episode together.
I hope so.
Speaking of venturing out and just trying to loosen up here, just trying to engage the rumor mill. I mean, you clearly spending a lot of time in the U.S. and with the Olympics coming up, just trying to entertained the rumorville. Any potential nationality changes for you, Sam? I'm just seeing you a lot in the U.S. here, so maybe a U.S. nationality coming up for you with the Olympics. No, just denying
No,
all allegations there.
no, definitely not. No,
Not a
no,
chance.
no, I can't not see that. Sorry, I love America, and obviously I'm here a lot training, and they do a lot for me. But um, no, I love my country too much. Yeah, I'm proud to be English. So quite a few people have actually asked me that,
Oh,
asking if I'm going to change or somehow change, whether it's even to an American citizen or what. But
mhm.
yeah, nah, I'm proud to be British, so there'll be no change there. Yeah,
Well, I try my best there to swirl it up here, but yeah,
yeah,
Sam holds it
no,
strong on
yeah,
his
it's
ground.
crazy actually how many people have asked me that. They keep saying, "Oh, will you get like married out there and change and do all this?" I know. I'm focused on what I need to do, and obviously
Being
I'm
English.
out here quite a lot, and yeah, I love this country. It's great, but
Yeah.
still always prefer to live in England, I
Yeah.
think.
I mean, so speaking of England, were they supportive of you during your injury? I mean, you were out of the game for essentially like 2 years. Um, or did you feel a bit of a gaping hole there during that time, or do you feel a little
No,
left out, or they gave you good support during that entire time?
yeah, they're actually really good. They
Oh, that's
obviously
great.
helps me with my injury. All the payments for the injections, the surgery, like really, they could have done much more in that aspect. And then obviously keeping me in touch. I was having like Zoom calls. That I was still connected into like some of the team groups, so I still felt like I was kind of in it, even though I was kind of far off it. But I was in contact at the time with like David Campion a lot, and um, yeah, like even David Campion, I'd get on call with him and just do very like static feeding, or
Mhm.
even James would just feed me like straight drives for an hour. It's been very boring stuff, but it was just something to do and literally get me out of the house. So England squash was actually really good in that aspect, and yeah, I think without them it would have been tough because obviously the amount of injections I had, that they're not cheap, and to do five of them was, yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
So with England squash behind my back, couldn't have asked for much more from them really, and they're obviously a big part in helping me get back to where I am.
Yeah. Where do you think England squash is at right now? I mean, obviously, there's so much buzz with Jonah Bryan and what he's doing, uh, and with like the Sherbaggy brothers there. Do you think it's in a good place right now? I mean, there's a lot of. I
Yeah,
mean, there's never been a. I mean, in terms of numbers, you guys always had the players. I mean, it's just. It seems like everyone's kind of moving up the rankings now, and
yeah, for
Jonah kind of
sure.
leading the charge there. Yeah.
I think there was like a stage where it did like kind of drop off, or we felt like a little bit of a drop off.
Mhm.
But I think now, especially like even the men and women's, there's definitely a few like youngsters coming through in like the top 30, top 50 level. And obviously Jonah leading, and obviously he's still only young. He's younger than me, and look where he's at and the way he's playing at the moment. So it's really good to have someone like that, and obviously he's going to continue to. Um, I'm sure I'll be doing great things, and I think there's quite a few good people around. There's obviously like Curtis Malik, he's around 20. Um, there's me, there's Nick Wall, Sam Osman, Simon Herbert. There's a lot of like kind of young people coming through, and hopefully it's going to be good for England, because obviously Mohamed, he's still they're both still in the top 10, but obviously age
They're
is all
hanging
of
on.
us.
He's hanging on a
So
thread
not
there.
I
That's
don't want to throw anything
yeah,
out there,
Josh.
but
Yeah.
um yeah, like obviously I think it's time that some of the youngsters really start to kind of buckle down and try and break into maybe like the top 20 area and trying to get up there. And trying to get back what we used to be, where we had like maybe 2 or 3 people in like the top 10. Back when we had like Nick, Pete Barker, and James Willstrop, and Darryl Selby, all them great players. And
Legends,
same on the women's side, obviously we've got Gina, Jazz, Lucy, and a lot of good people coming through. So fingers crossed, it's all going in the right direction. And we've got, I think, England squash are feeling good about it. Obviously, we have quite a few team chats just to catch up. So I think, everyone's in a good place as well. So good, England are coming through. It's the plan.
They are coming through. I mean, I was just testing your allegiance there on loyalty purposes, but you passed the test in flying colors there. Sam, I'll kind of wrap it up here. Just want to give you a chance to publicly announce any ambitions, goals for this year for you. Is it like whether it be like making the Team England for the senior team, or like any ranking goals you have? Hopefully, something you can look back on this interview and go, "Yep, I achieved it at the end of 2026."
I think obviously making the England team is obviously a great one to try and get the England cap, and I know I'm definitely capable of it. I think as long as I'm just playing my best squash, the ranking will take care of itself, because I kind of know what squash I'm capable of playing. It's just about putting it all together and doing it on court and in front of the biggest stages. And I think by that, then the ranking will follow up, and then maybe more eyes will start to see that me moving up the rankings and where my game is hopefully going in the right direction. So I've got a good few people behind me support. I train obviously here with Nick Taylor, the US national coach, and then I've got Dave Campion back home, who I speak to a little bit, who's always good to have. I've got Stuart Crawford, the England national coach, and then obviously Jimbo when he's around in Pontefract. So got a good kind of team around me. I'm obviously a bit spread out, but it works well for me. I've kind of got a good base in them places where I'm at, and I think it's always important to have a good team around you, and going to help you to get to where you need to be. And I think for me as well, this next stage is going to be quite crucial, because I'm going to now start to play a lot of these top guys, like people in the top 10. So getting matches like that kind of more on a consistent basis is going to be really good for me and beneficial for me going forward. And hopefully over kind of the period of time, I can try and get a few really big scalps, and that'll just increase the ranking. And
hell yeah, I'm counting on it over here. But I'll wrap it up there, folks. I mean, really, I think you deserve a lot more attention with the comeback journey you're on. And I mean, you're ranked 42 in the world. So really look forward to this year. And I'll wrap it up there, folks. Sam, thanks for jumping on again.
Cheers, mate. Thank you very much.
3 years.
No, it's been good to chat.